Hi, everybody. Welcome. So I'm going to do something a little different today and hopefully in the future with other ladies. I feel that there's so many of us who have so much to offer and it doesn't really get out there a whole lot. So um, that's my intent in these videos. So my first guest is Juey Ann MacLeod. She's an amazing lady, mentor, teacher, um, just amazing. She's got so much wisdom and so much to offer women. So welcome, Juey Ann.
Thank you, Tina.
So first, I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're all about, and kind of, what you do. I know you're very into the divine feminine. And so how did you get into that for yourself, first of all, and then what made you start teaching and helping other women in that area?
It's been a long journey. I did a lot of work on a recovery so that I'm a thriver of the sexual abuse. And so women's sexuality has always been primary for me, and coupled with the fact that women need a voice. They need to be able to be empowered from within, know and speak their truth, and know what they deserve, love, everything the world has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So in my journey of many modalities, theta healing came to me. And it is, for me, absolutely choice. One time when I was studying in Montana at the Theta Institute, I came across a girl who was teaching divine feminine presence. Oh, well, I didn't know, but she said, just come along Friday night and see what happens. Well, I signed up right then and there on Friday evening for the whole course. Came back to Canada and investigated how I could become a teacher because I found it to be so amazing for me.
So what did it do for you?
Well, I'm a driven person, and so it allowed me to find a way to just come back into myself and feel a different kind of power. So I tried it out on my trip back, the border crossing at going into Canada. I saw the young man that had a wedding ring on, and so after he asked me all these kinds of questions, I stayed and doing the exercise that I was taught, and he just treated me like his auntie. And so when I asked him, where would your wife use the washroom facilities going north from here? He said, oh, you don't want to do that. You just pull around the building where we investigate cars. Nobody will bother you, and come and use our facilities. They're very clean. And wow. So to go forward a bit, as I came home after a 3-week time in Montana, I practiced this exercise. And when I came through the door, my husband took one look at me, and that twinkle came into his eyes. We'd been married for about 8 or 9 years at that time, and that twinkle had been missing. Wow. So I thought, this works.
Nice.
And every time since, it's amazing when I think I would desire something. If I do the exercise and I don't even request what I want, somehow my husband Kevin picks up on it and asks me or provides with me exactly what I desire. It's magic.
Cool. So, okay. let's get down into some nitty gritty about uh, divine presence or feminine presence, or that phrase has been thrown around a lot lately. Divine presence, divine femininity, divine feminine presence. I mean, so what is that? I mean, what is it?
Let me explain it this way, and then continue to ask questions if it's not clear. I think in each human being, there is a divine masculine and divine feminine energy. When we come in a female body, we should live more from the divine feminine energy. And to do this, I needed that exercise to be able to go from my masculine energy in my head down into my body, into the second chakra area, or, in your womb space area, and function from there. And my mental ego had a hard time with that. Like, how can you function from there? But this is what I was taught, is divine presence. And I've come to understand that this energy that we have been taught as a way to get our power back, to, the feminine movement and so on, is fine. We've created the space for it. But now to come back into our real power, where we're just powered from the inside, stronger than we can be here, because this is not our natural place to be. This is where the more of the masculine energy is. And if we live totally from here, we are denying our real power.
Mm-hmm. When I think of masculine energy, I think right away, go, 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 do, make things happen, push forward, that type of thing. And the female or feminine energy is more, I don't want to say held back, but it's more flowing. So you connect with your femininity inside, and you move from that space, which is more intuitive. It's more listening to your heart, like you say, and just doing those things that you feel is right for you, not because everybody else is doing it, or whatever that case may be. So is that kind of along the same lines?
Yes, and people who talk energy divine call masculine energy yang, or an outgoing energy, and feminine energy a yin, an incoming energy. So we're receptive. But this makes us, when we get it down pat, this makes us a money magnet. I mean, it's just amazing. So having the tools to be able to access your own unique, individual, intuitive, as you said, receptive energy. And have you heard the term, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's kind of been in our knowing for a long time, but we haven't really applied that. So I see it coming a full circle from being submissive, controlled individuals who didn't even have a vote till just a little over 100 years ago, and Indigenous people even less, to a place where we had to push and secure our place. And now we're coming around, but it's a bigger circle of power. So if we can combine that, what we know, to that what we intuit with the compassion of our heart, that is what I call superpower.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. So how does a person even get into that space? Like, thing what's one thing that a person can do to on a daily basis to be in their feminine rather than the masculine?
Well, one of the ways is to look at the words you speak. So, for example, you have a child and you'll say, "Have you taken out the garbage yet?" That's a masculine talk, a controlling talk, if you would. But I could also say to him, "What time did you say that you were going to take the garbage out today?" Or, "I'm really having a hard time getting more garbage into this garbage container. Would you please take it out so I could put a new one in?"
So it's a lot in the way that we speak, and how we come across in our words.
Mhm.
So
That's one of the ways.
okay. Okay. So what's
So
another way?
asking instead of telling is what I'm actually saying.
Okay.
And then the feminine would also show up when it is acknowledged. "Thank you for taking out the garbage so promptly."
Mm.
"Great, now I can put something in here." Uh, That's awesome, thank you. Or whatever. But when we put a little energy into it, we can also say how it affects our feelings, because that's just our own personal domain. And you know, it sure makes it a lot easier for me to cook when I can put things in the garbage. That's kind of a
Yeah.
very funny example, but
Yeah.
you're getting what I'm saying
Yeah.
because of how it affects me.
Right.
And the other thing is really important in the divine feminine is the ability to allow yourself to receive.
Mm. That's huge for a lot of women, isn't it? We are taught we are taught from a very young age to give and to take care of everybody else and to do for other people and just kind of leave ourselves on the back burner. And now you're saying we have to take care of ourselves first. Yeah.
It's very hard to pour from an empty bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. I use the analogy often of, a cell phone. If your cell phone battery is like at 1%, you're not going to get much use out of it for a while until you recharge it. And the same goes for us. So
Awesome
how,
analogy.
yeah. So how can you recharge? How can you make sure that your cup is full first?
So receive from yourself, number one. Learn how to put yourself first. Number two, and understand the energy dynamics of receiving.
Okay, explain those for us.
Um, it's a 50-50 deal to receive. So if I pass you something and I'm all excited about it, pretend I'm a 4-year-old and I've just plucked the neighbor's flowers and I'm excited about it. If you thank me, I feel good about myself. If you get after me for picking the flowers that pulled through the fence, how was I to know they weren't ours? Then you have not received it. And I feel crunched.
Mm-hmm.
So receiving is 50% of the giving equation.
So that brings to mind years ago when I just took a weekend away and I went to another town and I got a hotel room and and my husband knew where I was and he sent a bouquet of flowers. And right away I was angry because he like invaded my space, I guess, or whatever. I just was angry. And then I thought about it and it's like his intent wasn't to invade my space. It was to brighten my day by sending me some flowers. So could I receive that? And that's what kind of went through my mind way back then. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
receiving.
celebrating. I mean, he was celebrating you taking some time to yourself, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you probably, well, I would assume that that's that word we don't like to use, that you probably got to the end of your rope before you left.
Yeah.
And
Like
you
I
didn't want to
needed this
have
time
anything to
alone.
do with anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And therefore, your divine feminine has been scrunched for so long. It's struggling.
Yeah.
And that's what we, especially empathic people, which are a lot of my client base, they go until they're all gived out.
Mm-hmm.
And for many reasons, that is very debilitating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We do and do and do for everybody else. And then there's nothing left for us where it should be switched. And that's what divine feminine is all about. Take
Part
care
of
of
it, yeah.
yourself first, and then you have room to give.
Not only that, but the exercises teach you how to empower yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've overgived, it's kind of like having a fast charge, even though you need to recharge in a positive way as well, but you can give yourself that fast charge to begin with.
Yeah.
And the more we learn to come from our divine feminine, the easier it is to look after ourselves. Easier it is to identify burnout. I used to be a burnout queen. Every 3 weeks, I'd crash for 4 days. Fortunately, I had the kind of job that allowed that. But is that healthy? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was what I would call a head case.
Always in the head.
Always.
Yeah.
And because of my background, I wasn't really safe to be in my body. So it wasn't something, it's the hardest part for me to learn was to be in touch with my body and to thrive from there.
Yeah. Society and, everything teaches us to pretty much ignore our bodies, our feelings, our, what makes us human, and to stay in that headspace and figure everything out. But I honestly believe that we are in a time now, globally as well as individually, where we cannot operate that way anymore. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I hear over and over, people have no energy. They're, so tired, and it's all part of what we're talking about here is, um, if we continue to operate from that headspace, that masculine energy, I feel like we will burn out and we will just keep spinning our wheels, because that's not where it's at anymore. We're being asked to go into our bodies, into our feelings, and connect again with who we truly are inside. And
Well, as you
that's,
know, part of my practice is spirituality, and I'm a spiritual mentor. And so, for those of us who understand or desire to learn more about that, we also need to connect with the divine, because we are in a flux situation.
mhm,
And when we allow ourselves to go into that depressed state, which means we're disconnecting from ourselves, I call creator, God of your understanding, or maybe not even an awareness of that. But that's where we get our messages. Okay, what do I do now?
mhm,
Where am I going from here? What
mhm.
is it that I need to do? And also, when we do that, we're not in fear. So it's depression. As far as I know, depression is swallowing, tamping down your feelings
Mhm.
until it gets to be so heavy that there's no life force or energy or happy energy running through your being.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
We are mind, body, and spirit. So we have to bring all three into who we are as individuals, as women. Um, and as women, our femininity is, plays a huge, huge role in that, doesn't it? It's
it does.
and it's been squelched in so many of us for so long. People have there's just this stigma around being a woman. I mean, I grew up, um, my, my mom, her mission, I think, in life was to find a man, right? And so I grew up watching her put on her makeup and doing her hair and her clothes and everything. And so that's the image I grew up with as a woman. I had to look good. I had to, on the outside, everything had to be perfect. But that is so far from what the divine feminine within us is all about. It's about, hanging on to who we are as women, period.
And
Yeah.
it's your intention or where you come from. I enjoy wearing makeup and earrings and color, and I never leave the house some days, but I do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
It boosts my spirit. It makes me feel good. To wear color is just, I don't know, it's where it's at for me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're intending it to attract others, so that's another part of the learning is when we go out looking, we put ourselves in a needy space,
Mm-hmm.
needy energy around us. And who do we attract from that space? We
Needy
attract
people.
people who want to use us,
Mm-hmm.
because here comes a slave, as I see it. But if we put it out there as I'm doing this because it pleases me, it changes it's a different energy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see her. She feels good about herself.
Yeah.
Not somebody out there who comes, oh, I've got to have a man to be whole, or whatever the belief is.
Yeah.
And yes, a lot of families grew up with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come from a family like I have, a pioneer family, where if you have a problem, you cope and you just do it,
Mm-hmm.
push through. Body, that's what carries the head. What does it carry the head for? Thinking, learning, coping, getting ahead in this world, putting food on the table. And, we're Albertans here, and a lot of people have grown up that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been fascinating. I don't want to go on too long. So, Juey Ann, what do you want to say, like, to everybody who doesn't have any idea about energy or feminine, like anything? What are your final words to everybody out there?
It's fascinating. I would love to instruct you and to get in touch with me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
There are lots of ways. I know you teach a chakra class, which is an energy related class. I teach many classes: divine feminine, the power of no, intuition, goddess work. And I do one-on-one, but phone me for a 20-minute consult.
Okay.
Depends where you're at as an
Yeah.
individual. What do you need? If you're just starting out, where could you go? What book could you read? I have lots of things to share.
Mm-hmm. So how do people get in touch with you?
Text me 403-358-8789
All right.
and
Awesome.
introduce yourself in the text as I saw you on Soul to Soul podcast. Because we all get texts that are a little unusual. So that's 403-358-8789.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Juey Ann, for being a part of my little thing going on here. My first interview. So
I celebrate first, so I'm so pleased to be the first. And thanks again, Tina.
all right. Talk soon.
Bye now.